In this video we have a walkthrough on how you can repair those old Game Boy games that no longer save. To test this part, all we need is the game. I have Pokemon Silver here, and then we need some kind of apparatus to test it on, such as a Game Boy SP or Super Game Boy or an old Game Boy or a Game Boy Color or whatever turns it on. Giggity. If you're playing a game like Pokemon, you may notice that there is no longer a continue option. If you go on to start the game and then save, and then restart the game and the continue is not there, then you have a bad battery and it's time to fix that. Now I will warn you that we're not going to use the ghetto method of taping it, we're actually going to solder it onto the board. The main reason you don't want to tape is often you'll wind up scratching or damaging the board if you're using a knife or you're using some kind of screwdriver to pop off the battery. Second, it's just more fun to use a soldering iron and more professional looking if you're thinking of reselling it later or just keeping it in an optimal condition. So to start, we're going to need a 3.8mm security screwdriver. We're going to need the new battery, and we're going to need the soldering equipment. This includes the soldering iron, its holder, and some solder. However, we are going to be removing the old battery, so that means that we're going to need some desoldering equipment as well. You can pick between the desoldering pump or using a solder wick. So the first thing we're going to do is flip over the game to reveal the 3.8mm security screw. We're going to go ahead and unscrew that so that we can open up the case. To open the case, we can flip it back to the front and slide it down. Once inside of the case, you'll notice that there is a battery in one of the corners. We're going to go ahead and desolder that battery on those 2 points that it's soldered on. To desolder that battery, we're just going to take the hot soldering iron and put the hot part onto the soldered point. This will melt the solder and then you can suck it up with your pump or suck it up with the solder wick. Doing this to both sides will effectively disconnect the battery and you can pull it right out. Notice which side is positive and which side is negative, which is denoted by a plus sign on the positive side. You're going to place your new battery in the same direction that the old battery was. Once you have your new battery in place and the pins are over the same place that the previous pins were for the old battery, all you need to do is apply the solder to the same points that it was on the previous battery. After applying the solder successfully, you shouldn't be able to move the battery out of place with a light tug. Now all that's left to do is put the case back onto the game, screw it back together, and then test it out. It is worth noting that the old battery had an estate sale whenever it died, which means that your old saves no longer exist. What you can do though is go into the game, start up a new game, save, restart the system, and check to make sure the save is still there. If you see a continue, you have successfully installed the battery.